Hi, welcome back for another day of fun crafts. Let's see what we're going to do today. So, I've got some empty toilet rolls, coloured paper, glue, masking tape, some oogly googly eyes, and my streamers. So I'm trying to reuse a lot of the same things so that I didn't have to go out and get a lot of different things. So today what I'm going to focus on is we're going to make something for the little kids. So we're going to make some toilet roll Santas. So I'm going to show you how to do a Santa Claus and how to do a Mrs. Claus. So I think we'll start with Santa. So taking an empty toilet roll. The ones that I've got here are brown on the outside. If you're lucky enough to have the ones that are actually white, you can leave them as is. If you've got the brown ones and you want it, that's fine as well. Because I actually want to draw on here, I'm just going to use some masking tape to be able to see where I can draw the face to differentiate the face from the body. So we've got that happening. What I'm going to do now is, I've got some paper that I've already cut out. So what I've done is, actually no, this one's a little bit short. So let me get another piece of paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure it so that it falls just below Santa's head. And I'm definitely not all about precision, so if you want, yes you can pencil it out. I'm just going to hold it to where I think it needs to go, make the first cut, and then I'm just going to cut it straight up. Okay. Now I know that that's going to be way too long for me to wrap around without having to go around multiple times, so I'm just going to trim that one down. So once again, I'm just going to wrap it round to where I think it needs to go so that it matches up, and I'm just going to cut that straight down the line. So what I'm going to do now is use my glue, and I'm going to put a glue strip on either end of my piece of paper. I'm now going to put Santa Claus. I'm going to line him up on there, and I'm going to roll it around until it overlaps. Now this part does get a little bit messy, so I've grabbed some cheap clamps that I've got, and I'll be able to use them to hold it together. But what I'll do is I'm going to clip that on there just so that it holds the back of it for me. What I've also done is I've cut out a black belt for Santa's waist. So I'm also going to run a strip of glue along that. Now we're just gluing paper at the moment, so you don't need a lot of glue because it will get messy. And I've just made a complete mess. So what I'm going to do is line it up so it's in the center. And now I'm wishing I'd had tissues, but that's okay. I'm just going to use a couple more to clean up this excess glue that I've got here. I'm going to make the belt go all the way around. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my clamp up so that it'll hold it in place for me whilst it dries. So that's what I've got there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm taking lots of tips and tricks from the cooking shows here. Here's one I prepared earlier. Now, not that much earlier, so hopefully it's dry enough. It was probably only done a couple of minutes before I started videoing. So we now have Santa, we've got a head, we've got his red shirt, red pants, black belt, so we need a belt buckle. So what I've done is I've cut some yellow paper, cut a square, folded it in half, cut a square out of the centre, and that's giving me something that looks like a bit like a belt buckle. So I'm just going to add some glue on that. Okay. Not enough glue. Let me try again. I'm going to try and put it on the opposite side to where everything else is glued. Okay, so now he's got a belt buckle. I've now got more scraps of red paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a triangle out of this one. Once again, you can draw this out, that's not a problem, or you can just roughly get it done. So I'm going to add some glue onto this. Trying not to use a lot here just so that it dries a little bit quicker and makes it easier for me to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that to the front of Santa Claus for his hat. And that's not working the way I wanted, so I'm just going to use masking tape. And because it's going to take up a lot of that space, but that's okay, I don't mind. So I'm just going to use the masking tape because I'm impatient and I'm on video. By all means, if you've got patience, glue it on and wait. It'll look nicer. So what I've got there is Santa's hat. Now, as I promised, I'm going to use googly eyes for this one. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from drawing the face on. I just have a whole heap of these googly eyes, so I use them at every opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a cotton bud just to get this on each of my googly eyes. Second eye. Okay, so there you go. My Santa does look like it needs to go to Specsavers, but that's okay. That's not a problem. So I'm going to leave that there now. I'm going to use a felt pen to draw a nose and a smile. So, looking at Santa Claus, can anyone tell me what Santa's missing? He doesn't have a beard yet, he's clean shaven. There's no cotton around his trimming on his hat. There's no pom-pom. So let's get that happening. So let's get a little bit of cotton. And what I'm going to do is tease it out for. Okay. Okay, this guy's going to have a long beard like Lord of the Rings man. Let's put some glue on here. Glue this on. Trying to make sure his beard doesn't get in his eyes or his mouth, because he still wants to be able to eat. Because you're going to leave cookies out for Santa, right? Well, he needs to be able to eat that. Okay, so this little bit of cotton that I've got left, I'm going to split that in two. I'm going to do a strip here for the trim on his hat. Put a little bit of glue at each end, because luckily cotton's pretty light, so it doesn't need a lot of glue, just be stuck in place. last but not least, just going to put the pom-pom at the top, which is the last bit of cotton, a little bit of glue, and let's stick it on there. So I think we have Santa done. So now, because Santa lives with Mrs. Claus, I'm going to show you how to make a Mrs. Claus as well. Let's start with another piece of toilet roll. Going to get some masking tape. Awesome. Here's a bit of red card, so let's have a look and see if it's long enough. Yeah, that's good enough to twist all the way around, so I'm going to trim that a little bit because I can see that it's way too long for what we need. So I've trimmed that off. I can also see that it's a little bit long at the bottom, so I'm going to just very roughly trim that up there. Now, because Mrs. Claus wears a dress, I'm just going to scallop the end of her dress here. What that means is I'm just going to use scissors and just create like a wave. If you've got pinking shears or anything like that, that would be handy as well. But I'm just going to do this very quickly and very roughly. So there you go, you can see that at the bottom. So same as last time, what we're going to do is put a strip of glue on either side. Just like that. I'm going to put Mrs. Claus on here. I'm going to roll her into her dress. Sometimes it'd be nice just to be able to lie down and roll into your clothes, but fortunately we don't always have it that easy. So what I'm going to do now is add a clamp just to let it dry properly. So I've got one here that I started a little bit earlier. So this is Mrs. Claus. She's got her dress on. Now what does Mrs. Claus do while Santa Claus is out delivering the presents? She makes hot chocolate and cookies for the elves. So I've cut out a little apron, and how I've done that is I've taken some of the streamer, cut off just a little square. I'm then going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to cut out another square so it looks like that. And then when I unfold it, that's going to be our apron. So what I'll do is add a few dabs of glue. Now you can be as fancy as you want with the apron. You can add sequins to it, other colours, whatever you want. So what I'm doing is I'm just gluing that to the front of Mrs. Claus, so you can see that. Now Mrs. Claus also needs a hat, so let's try this one here. So I'm just going to work out so that she gets one that's not bigger than Santa Claus. Okay. So let me glue that one. I might actually tape that one on because I already know how this is going to go. I'm too impatient to let the glue dry properly. Okay. So there we go. Now for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw on the face so you can see the difference. So we're going to have a nose. Okay, she looks a little bit cross-eyed, but that's okay. So let's grab some cotton. So I'm going to tease it out again, but Mrs. Claus doesn't have a beard. So she's going to get some trimming, firstly around her hat. I'm also going to put some around her apron. So I'm just going to split this into a small bit. Now I don't need one that big, so I'm just going to trim it down. Trim that one down. Glue on. Okay. There we go. And Mrs. Claus looks like she needs a necklace. So I'm just going to give her a necklace as well. So just out of yellow paper. All I'm doing is cutting out a U shape. I'm just going to dab some glue on that. And we'll need the pom-pom for the top of Mrs. Claus's hat. A bit of glue again. And there we go. So we now have Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus ready to go for Christmas. I'd love to see how your Santa Claus and how your Mrs. Claus turns out. Don't forget to tag us in your Christmas crafts so we can see exactly what's happening. And stay tuned and see what we've got coming up next. Hope you have a good day and don't forget to clean up.